We the property BRRRRothas. The property BRRRRothas.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Property BRRRRothas. I am your host, Jordan, along with my cousin, my partner, the numbers ninja himself, Drew. Drew, what's cracking, bro?
What's up, man? What's up, dude? Today we got another banger. We got another banger, man. We are, what do the kids say nowadays? Y'all bringing the sauce. Hey, we are bringing the sauce.
We're bringing the hot sauce, man. Today's guest, dude, is someone who's been, listen, this guy's been under more houses than we've bought, man. Listen,
1,000%.
Hey,
yes.
Give it up for Sean Eagan from IndySpec. Sean, what's good?
How you doing?
What's up, man? Welcome,
what's up, guys?
welcome.
How you doing? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yo, so first of all, man, welcome. So I had the pleasure of, I was trying to find an inspector that could get out to a house right away. I was trying to get a wholesale deal, and I called multiple inspectors, and one dude picked up the phone. One dude picked up the phone and actually spent time with me to talk to me about, what I was looking to accomplish with this house. And he said, dude, I could get out there today. I was like, what? And that was Sean, man. Sean was like on it. And I couldn't believe that he was able to get out there and really, he brought a tremendous amount of value. And so I started talking to him about his business. And in fact, Sean is now a customer of Be Kind Local, my other business, right? And dude, I told him, I said, you know what? Everybody needs to know about you. You have an exceptional service. Your work ethic is incredible. Your honesty is just like, I just could not believe the amount of
unheard of in the space, right?
That. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Really
absolutely.
Unheard of in the space, dude. I mean,
yeah, man.
Listen, he's gone from electrician to inspection ninja. So Sean, talk to us, bro. Who are you? Let the people know.
Well, I am Sean Eagan. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I mean, how far back do you want me to go, man?
Dude,
take it back.
Well, I mean, I get,
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, Gainesville, Florida. But no, so I guess I started working when I was 13. I did corn detasseling. In Indiana, we have a lot of corn. So it's actually pretty crappy work. It's hard work. But I've always liked working with my hands. I've never been afraid of hard work. And instead of college, I chose a 5-year skilled trade apprenticeship. So I went through 5 years of schooling through the apprenticeship at the Electrical Training Institute of Indianapolis. It's a union apprenticeship. After being an electrician for 12 years, I mean, ever since I started working, I've always wanted to own my own business, but I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know really how to go about doing it. But one day I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I tried to think of something.
Took that leap.
Yeah. I was trying to think of something with low overhead, something that I could do, that I could also utilize the skills that I already have. And I enjoy helping people. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking to people. This is a good fit. I also like educating people. So this is the inspection.
So when did you start IndySpec?
March of last year.
Okay, man. And how's it been going? I mean, is it everything that you expected and more?
It's more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually started this as a side gig for an extra source of income.
Yep.
And so I did this after work and on weekends, and it quickly became something more, very quickly.
Yeah. And I think that's when we met. That's when we kind of hooked up, and you're like, man, I think I'm ready to give up my other job and I need business. I was like,
yeah. And with your help, man, it's working out a lot. So shout out to Be Kind Local, because it's helping.
Sir.
Love it, man.
Love it. Dope. That's
Jordan,
awesome,
you know what? You always tell me I'm always taking the spotlight, so I'm gonna let you roll with this. Let's go.
No, you're good, man. No, so listen, so the whole reason we brought Sean on and IndySpec is, so our audience can get a firsthand perspective of, what it takes to, when you buy right. A lot of people, they just think like, if I have my contractor walk it, shouldn't that just be enough? And so we want to bring Sean in because he can tell us about the nooks and crannies, quite literally, that a contractor may not be looking at. And some of the things that he is seeing in the space right now, maybe quite literally in the crawl space, and just overall, why it's important to thoroughly have your property inspected. And Sean, Drew and I have been talking about this dating back to several episodes ago, and really trying to get our listeners to understand that when you are in the buy phase, you absolutely got to have it inspected and part of those contingencies so that you could come back to the seller and say, hey, we found XYZ. How are we going to move forward and address it? So those would be kind of some of the talking points that we're going to get into today. So I kind of want to just start it off with the elephant in the room and why inspections are not redundant. Like, why are they so critical, and why an investor specifically should not just rely solely on their GC, their general contractor, to walk the property?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is the more eyes on anything, the better. But also specifically in states that require licensing, such as where I live, Indiana, our report basically holds up in court, because we have to be licensed to inspect. A GC doesn't have an inspector's license. So from a legal standpoint, you have something backing you. And I mean, as home inspectors, we're trained to look past the superficial things that most of the time GCs will look at and look for. So we're trained to kind of look underneath the surface. I mean,
Can you give an example? What does that mean? Like when you say, because it's not like y'all got X-ray vision and can see behind the wall,
I'm
right?
Superman, buddy. Yeah. Really, man, I think the main thing is that the license, man, when it comes to from a legal standpoint, that's the main difference between a GC and a home inspector, in my opinion. But for instance, what I do is I use in every inspection, some inspectors add it as an have it as an add-on service, but I do it with every inspection. I have a thermal imaging camera that I use to look for different heat signatures in the ceilings and in the walls. And then if I see something that looks questionable, I have a moisture meter that I'll verify that spot with.
And what are you looking for with that?
Cool spots. Typically, it depends on
What is
the
that? I guess what's the indicator of that for us who don't know like the expertise behind that?
Yeah, peel that back a little bit.
With a thermal imaging camera, right? At least with drywall, with plaster, with the older homes, the thermal imaging camera acts a little bit different. But with drywall, for instance, you can see the studs behind the walls. You can see. It depends on what palette you have the thermal imaging camera on. There are different colors. I have it set to white hot. So white are the warm areas or hot areas. The darker colors are the colder areas. I can see. So when I see, I'm looking at a ceiling and I can see the studs clearly, and I see an even color of a certain color, and all of a sudden there's this blob in the center, and it's kind of, it looks, I don't know how to describe. It looks like a blob. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. It's a dark spot. So I'll go with my thermal imaging camera and test it and see if it has any moisture content. And if it does have moisture content, then that's an issue.
So that's what you're testing for. You're testing to see if there's like any leaks or something like that.
Sorry.
Maybe there's like a plumbing issue in there, or maybe roof.
The gutters, roof. Yeah.
Right. Got you. Okay.
And that also. Oh, go ahead, Drew.
And a lot of times, something that people, and I'm bad at too, man, clean your damn gutters, because honestly, that can lead to way more issues than you would think. But the last couple moisture spots that I found were because nobody cleaned the gutters. Gotcha, water had backed up and it got behind the flashing and leaked into the soffit, then onto the ceiling.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, and a lot of those things can leak moisture.
That's the number one enemy.
Yeah. And it leads to mold, right? And you get mold in your space, in your attic, in your basement, then you got a whole other ball game. You got mold remediation that you're dealing with, man. So
and that's expensive.
Yeah. So
you're telling me.
What about your it was expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did he mess up?
I think we might get into that, maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, maybe. So your electrician experience, how has that helped you when you're going out and inspecting homes?
So I have hands-on real-world knowledge. It's more than, and I'm not trying to dump on any home inspectors, but the home inspector's test to me was not that difficult. I think it was like 50 hours total as a prerequisite. For instance, as a 5-year apprenticeship, it's over 9,000 hours of, learning in class, and then over 10,000 hours of on-the-job training. So it's very in-depth. I have a lot of real-world knowledge of how things are built, how systems are built, how to look for certain issues. And I got to tell you, man, it's a lot easier to talk about what other people are building instead of actually building things. So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
a lot easier.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think just knowing what to look for, man, that helps me. And I look at everything, but I definitely pay attention to the electrical system. I definitely pay attention to the electrical system because that's
That's
Are there
a unique
some-
approach.
Yeah. Are there some situations where you've gone into a home that somebody is hot and heavy on? It's like, man, I just want to get this inspection so I could buy this right now. And then you're walking it and you're like,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do you handle that? I know that you've got to document everything in the inspection report, and hopefully somebody is reading it and can make that decision, right?
But in your head, you're like, don't do it.
No. So
Don't do it.
as part of my license, I am absolutely not allowed to tell anybody you should buy this home or you shouldn't buy this, or you should or you shouldn't. And that does suck because there have been plenty of homes where I'm like, man, you should just burn this thing down, actually, not even
That's
buy
a big time looker, huh?
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too
So
much.
I guess in situations like that, I just stress to them that they're buying an old home and it's going to come with old home problems. Yeah, I guess I gotta be careful what I say here too. I guess as far as the licensing goes, but
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can always just say, "Hey, here's what I found in
if
the
I wink
report."
3 times, don't. Yeah, no, no.
Hey, don't
There we
sue
go.
us, man. Nothing can be held against us.
Yeah,
This is
Right.
just
That was the
education.
joke.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. But yeah, please wink. And it's funny because there was a house that I had you inspect, and I looked at the report, and I was like, "There's nothing nice about this house." Right? I mean, except for
I feel bad doing that too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, dude, and you're just like, listen, just look at the report,
Yeah,
right? And I
Yeah.
I ended up backing out of that deal because there were just way too many issues. But
I remember
it was
that.
because of the report that you provided that it allowed me to be able to make that decision. Because if it wasn't for the report, I was emotionally attached to that house because the price was perfect.
Uh-huh.
Right? It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I think I was going to get it for like almost $34,000. It was a great deal, but was it?
Yeah, well,
You
yeah.
know?
So to interrupt a little bit, you asked why is it important, or earlier, why is it so important to have your inspector do it and not just your GC? So especially for somebody in your situation, being from out of state, you don't have your own eyes on it. So I don't have any personal interest in what you're buying. Your GC does to some extent. I don't.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna just tell you like it
You're
is.
a neutral party.
Neutral party. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another important thing.
And what's crazy is that like that's one of the things that really attracted me to your service is that again you were super honest. You did a drone footage of the roof,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's super impressive. And it wasn't like just one shot. It was multiple shots and multiple angles that would, when my GC walks the property, he says, "Oh, the roof looks new."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
But sending you out there, you actually can get some, look at the discoloration of the roof. Like, what are some things that you look at in a roof to tell whether it's going to last or not, besides a gaping hole?
Yeah. Besides the gaping hole, the asphalt. So on asphalt shingles, if I see the fiberglass underlayment or like the black tar underneath the little rocks, if I don't see those rocks and I see the black paper underneath, they're old. That's signs of wear. Or around the edges of the shingles, when you start to see the white fiberglass underlayment, that's signs of wear and they're getting old. Something I always see on almost, I'd say 90% of the homes I inspect are exposed nail heads. That's like the most common thing I see on a roof. And if you see a lot of them, and if they're rusted, that means water's already gotten in. So that's something to think about too when you're kind of evaluating a roof.
That's good, man. So if I could pivot just a slight bit, Drew talked about how your report really stopped him from making an emotional mistake. And we talk about this many times, that we have to run the numbers and the numbers have to make sense and you can't tie your emotions to it. And but the question I was going to ask you, but Drew already kind of jumped in, was there a time where you saved an investor from kind of walking into a $30,000 mistake? But it sounds like you stopped Drew from making what could have been, five-figure, maybe six-figure mistakes. What I wanted to ask you, though, with talking about the roof and things of that nature, what are you seeing right now are in the single family resident side, SFR, what are some common mistakes or common red flags that people should look out for when buying an investment home? Just real general red flags that pop up on your radar that people should look at when they are looking at the report.
Well, so first thing that comes to mind, and I think is important, is look at the curb appeal of the home. And that's a good indicator of how well maintained the house has been or hasn't been, in my opinion. Old homes last because they've been maintained well. The old homes that haven't been maintained well don't last. So another stair step cracking in brick is another big indicator that there is an issue, a foundational issue.
Foundation.
Yeah, that's foundation. So especially when you see it in the corners of the windows, and it's a stair step.
Yeah.
It follows the mortar.
Right.
Now, if it goes through the brick and the mortar, that's definitely an issue. When bricks start to split in half along with the mortar, that's definitely serious. A lack of
Yes.
maintenance, I mean, is really the biggest red flag
Okay.
to me. I mean,
Okay.
because all the homes that I've inspected, especially the flipped homes, I can see the lack of maintenance, and that's always an issue. And I can tell
So-
I'm about to get into something messed up.
So when you look at foundation issues, are all foundation issues something that you would say you need to walk away from, in your opinion?
No, not at all. So foundations are going to move, foundations settle. That's all there is to it. And especially the older homes, especially here in Indy, with the like 3 tons of concrete type stuff as the foundation. Once a house settles at a certain point, like it's done settling, typically. And so then you would patch it, move on, and monitor it. And if it keeps cracking, then do something more. But no, not every crack you see is a foundational concern. A lot of cracks are normal, and stair step cracking is also normal. It depends on where it is. It depends on how many, or depends on how many you find. If it's just on one side of the house, or if it's on both sides of the house, or all four sides. If you see cracking inside that matches the cracks you see on the outside. I mean, if you just see one stair step crack on the exterior of the home, nothing inside, that's not an issue. That's cosmetic.
So is there a difference between that in the single family residence side as opposed to the multifamily when you get into, buying in that space? Are you looking for the same things, or is it a little bit more sophisticated on that side?
Essentially, yeah, I am looking for the same things, but there are different requirements, and it is more sophisticated. There's a lot more going on, a lot more systems. Instead of one system, you have multiple systems, multiple individual systems. Yeah, a big thing I know with like brick veneer multifamily homes, like condo units, they're supposed to be basically a joint all the way down there's supposed to be a way for that big ass structure to be able to move, to contract, expand and contract, like a control joint. I look for that in bigger brick buildings.
Control joint.
Yeah, that's not what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it.
We're going it with.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had asked you earlier about the foundation
Expansion
thing.
joint.
Expansion joint. Yes.
Yeah.
But I had asked you earlier about the foundation because I feel like a lot of times when people walk a property and they see anything with foundation, they run away. And for me, I see something with the foundation. I'm like, ooh, there's
You
an
run to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
There's an
yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yes,
you buy some scary stuff, Drew.
I do.
But you make it work, man. You have an eye for it. So
yeah, man. And I mean, go ahead.
On inspections, that's another reason I like it when people are with me during the inspection. That way they can see what I'm seeing. They can ask questions in real time instead of just relying on that report. Some home inspectors, for liability reasons, for personal reasons, they don't want people around. I love it. Bring your whole family. Yeah. So I want the more eyes, the better.
That's huge.
And then, so that I can tell them, hey, yes, that is a crack in the foundation on the report. It's going to say, recommend blah, blah, blah. But just know that this is normal. This is a normal crack in the home, given the age of the home. It puts people at ease a little more when they're there walking it with me, and I can answer their questions in real time.
Yeah, and it's a level of transparency too, right, Sean? That you're providing when you give that option.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other cool thing that you offer in your service is sewer scopes, which
man,
everybody knows,
dude.
Me and sewers, and that was actually one of the reasons why I hired you, is because you do sewer scopes, and I was like,
"Is that a noise you're putting in there?"
Yeah, you love it.
I like it. I thought it was a little crazy, man. There you go.
Man, the sewers and Drew do not get along.
I was just about to segue to that, man. Because
actually, I think that one you bought, I couldn't even get into it.
I didn't buy it. I know. But
it was blocked like with leaves, or I couldn't even get into the damn thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the report right now, and there was definitely something that was causing us not to be able to get through, which was that was the reason why I stepped back, because I think it was maybe 2 months earlier, I had $1,000 sewer job on one of the properties.
I remember you talking about,
Yes.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's huge that you offer that service all in one, right?
Yes. So, I mean, it is a separate service, right? But yes, I do offer it for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So talk to us about these services that you offer and kind of why. And the benefits of them.
So the sewer scope, just like you said, you had an $8,000. Did you sewer scope that one, by the way? Have that one sewer scope, the one that
3 or 4 times before I purchased it.
Wow.
But the plumbers told me that the reason that they couldn't get through was because of dried baby wipes. And so the baby wipes had created a cement surface that they couldn't get through, but they're like, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
$80,000 later.
Man, that's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem.
Expensive baby wipes. Yeah. So, I mean, if you getting a $200 sewer scope or $300, it depends on who you're getting it from. I charge $200 as part of a home inspection, but if you find something, you can try to get that money out of the sellers or have them fix it before you buy it. And then, that $200 can potentially save you at least $10,000 from not getting it and finding out later that you have to dig your whole front yard up just to replace that old clay tile or rusted out, cast iron line. So $200 can save you $10,000.
Yeah, it's about $7,000 to $8,000 to get that replaced.
Yeah,
I know a guy.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That helps, man.
I know a guy.
Yeah, that helps. But a lot of people.
But I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to pay that extra $200 or kind of look at it like it's a scam or something. But it's not. I mean, it can absolutely save you money. It can save your ass when you're buying.
I mean, what would you rather do? Pay $200 or $80,000? I mean, that's just simple math, right?
Right,
and it's worth it.
Or even on the low end, $7,000 or $8,000, right? Especially the the thing about it is that the sewers and most of the sewers start at the basement, right? So you're not just digging like, 6 feet. You're digging like 12 feet down.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's
excavating
a lot.
is expensive.
Excavating is expensive, and then they bring out all this. I've got pictures. They bring out all this equipment that tunnels all the way to the side. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I just started offering this service. I bought a nice piece of testing equipment, but I can test air for mold now. So I have a pump where I can, and I send it into the lab, but it takes 10 minutes. I do one outside for the control sample to see what's outside. Then I do essentially each floor and I can test for mold, and it can tell you what kind of mold it is, how many spores. I mean, the reports for this thing are really cool. So that's a service I just started offering.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What other services do you offer?
So I do radon. Right now I hire it out, but I've paid for all the classes to take the classes and try to pass the test.
And what's radon?
Yeah, Sean, can you talk to us about what radon is for our audience?
I mean, I don't know. You're about to make me look stupid, I think, but it's.
Well, we don't know what it is, so you better than us.
You the one who just took all these classes.
That's why I hired it. I haven't done the classes yet, bro. I mean, it's a radioactive gas it's a radioactive gas that's present almost everywhere, and it emanates from limestone, which there's a lot of here in Indiana. We have a lot of limestone.
Yeah.
And it's a radioactive gas that can go all throughout your house. It can cause cancer. It can cause birth defects. This is all, according to the CDC.
Now, are you guys finding this? Like, when I know you're hiring it out, but are you finding traces of radon in?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Homes?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yes, there's radon in Indiana, a lot of it, in a lot of homes, especially down south where all the limestone is.
Okay.
So how do you alleviate that? Like, okay, is that just something you just got to live with, or is that something that you can eliminate?
Yeah, you can eliminate it. Well, there's always a certain level of radon, but there's safe levels. But it's a pretty simple system. It's just a pump. It's a PVC pipe. A pit is dug, and basically all the gas will travel to that pit, and you just suck it up and out of the house. I mean, it's like a $1,200 system for most homes. It's pretty simple.
And is that a system that stays in the home, or is it a treatment?
No, it stays in the home, and that fan is running 24/7 to pump it out of the house, to keep it pumped out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I think
learned something new today.
Yeah,
I like that.
A lot of radon pumps are probably good for 10 years, I'd say.
Okay.
And then you have to replace the motor, every 10 years, the fan every 10 years, I'd say. But again, man, I haven't taken the classes yet, right? So I'm not certified to even tell you this stuff yet, buddy.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, hey, we're just off it's off the cuff, right? It's off the cuff.
But radon it's real. There's a lot of it in Indiana.
Have you ever had any friction points with contractors or anything like that?
Yeah. So somebody had me, somebody had me come out and inspect a deck that somebody had built for her, and I pointed everything out that I saw. I actually hired a guy that builds decks, his company. So I brought somebody that's very knowledgeable that only does that with me, and he pointed stuff out as well, put everything on the report. And the owner of this company called me and was like, "Hey man, after your report, this woman's not paying me. What's going on?" I was just like, "Dude, I'm just doing my job. I was just pointing out what I saw." And then talks about lawsuits and stuff like that came up. So that was friction. That was a little bit of heat.
That's definitely some friction, man.
Yeah. So let me ask you then, with that said, thank you, Drew, for kind of taking it that direction. So how can, investors, contractors, and a man like yourself, an inspector, kind of live in harmony, so to speak, and kind of coexist and basically get it across the finish line? Because ultimately, right, the investor wants to take down this property, and how can we all kind of, have a more collaboration?
just know that I'm just doing my job, man.
That's it.
I'm
Dude,
not
it's
out.
black and white.
I'm not out to
Right?
get anybody. And actually,
Yeah.
their company owner's lawyer sent whatever list of questions or statements to the person I looked at the deck for that were aimed towards me. So there were some things that I pointed out that the guy that built the deck corrected me on, and I'll admit it. So I point things out that I think are problems. Sometimes they might not actually be issues. So on this list that their lawyer sent over, I agreed with some things that this guy was saying, but then I held my ground on other things that I knew were wrong. So I'm human, right? Everybody's human. So there are some, but as an inspector, if I don't know, I point it out too. You know what I mean? That it could be a potential issue.
Yeah.
But that's another thing I do is instead of writing the reports like on the spot, I like to bring it back to the office or bring it back home and sit down and look at everything before I tell my client something or give them advice. I want to make damn sure that I'm giving them the right advice.
Yeah. So we've both looked at a ton of inspection reports, man. And so I remember the very first inspection report I looked at when I bought my first investment property. And bro, I was like, what is this? Like, what am I reading?
Yeah,
And
dude.
listen, I'm a school teacher, right? And I feel like I have a pretty, good command of the English language and sophistication of interpreting. And I was like, what is this say? So, you talk about how you go back home, you break it down. How do you kind of translate, and how can investors translate what is on the report that makes sense to what they need to know? What do we need to know on that list? Boom, 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 boom. That makes sense to us so we can make a decision, yes or no.
Yeah. So the report writing software I use has a summary page, and most of them do. Most should have a summary page and it's the very first 5 pages around about, but it's just a summary of what's wrong. So like that's the meat and potatoes is the summary page instead of having to read that whole thing. But
Right.
yes,
So let me pull this one up and see.
Yeah, let's look at it. Here comes a screen share. People, if you are if you are listening to us on Apple Podcast, streaming us on Spotify, go on over to YouTube so that you can see the screen share that we're pulling up right now and a home inspection report.
look
So
at
Sean,
that beautiful
go
thing.
ahead and look at that thing is nice. That is nice and organized. That is a
Where's
school
your
teacher's
sound
dream.
thing?
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Boom.
All right, cool. So
On the live version, I believe it does have a summary page.
yeah, so you're saying on the website.
Yeah, but I mean, most home inspectors, even the PDF has a summary page. I'm seeing now that mine sure does not.
Yeah,
That's all
but
good.
I mean, there's a tremendous amount of detail. Like you can see wood rot observed, right? You go into the fence lines, the fence posts having untreated wood, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that, when you're looking at a home
with recommendations and requires attention and all that good stuff. I think the big thing though that I love about Sean's report is it's investor friendly language. When you look at this, you can decipher this quickly. You can go through, he can look at all the recommendations and the things that are highlighted in orange that require attention, right? And you can make a decision and
keep
bring that
bushes
back
and
to the
shrubs
seller
away from the meter. It's like, I would have never even thought of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's super detailed.
And so, Sean,
Sean, this is you on the roof, right?
Yeah, right there.
You are on. Where's your drone? So this is your drone, but then you actually decided to get on the roof too?
Right. I try to walk every roof possible because I want to be able to feel the roof decking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but there's some houses I can't. Those 3-story houses, I'm not doing that. I'm not climbing that thing.
He's like, it ain't worth it.
No,
it
no,
ain't
no.
worth
That's
it.
where the drone comes in.
Yeah, and so the standards and procedures for us, we're actually not required to step foot on a roof. We're not required to crawl in a basement or crawl space. Sorry, we're not required to actually get up inside of an attic. But if I do, because I feel like I'm not doing my job if I don't do those things. But
You're
And
very
that's what I
thorough,
love
sir.
it, man. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that you take those extra steps, because at the end of the day, who would have found this? What is
Yeah.
that called? The flashing? Is that
The flashing.
flashing around this?
Yeah.
chimney flashing, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man.
something
Yeah.
that's common too on older homes, man.
Yeah, I've seen
And that's
that
like
too.
that's like the most common
Most
place
common thing.
for leaking, that and skylights, I'd say.
Every
Yeah, and I
property
like this. You
we've
looked
ever
at this
been involved
garage.
Yeah, that
You
thing
looked at
was.
this
Oh, look
garage.
at
You're
that.
like, hey, I recommend a qualified contractor to evaluate and estimate the
That's all I could
repairs.
say, buddy. Like, man,
That's it.
look
I
at that
love
thing.
it.
My
So yeah, like
God.
every property that I've ever had inspected, it always came back to the flashing around the chimney, having some type of, needing some type of recommendation. But
Look
with
at
that
that bad boy.
said, looking at the report, Sean, as an investor, from an investor's point of view, right? We see all these things that are recommendations and all these things that are required attention. But I'll be honest with you, as an investor, you have to make a decision. You have to read between the lines, like, okay, this needs to absolutely be addressed, and this we're going to address it during the rehab, or it can be something that we look past. So I believe you said this earlier in the episode, but now that we have the report up, what are some things that require attention that an investor should absolutely bring back to a seller and say, hey, we need to talk about this, and how are we going to move forward? Because either you need to take care of this, or we need to talk about bringing down that purchase price.
I mean, anything with the roof and anything with the
roof.
foundation. I mean, the roof and the foundation
Okay.
are like the two. And then the third, probably, windows. Obviously, anything with the electrical system. But as far as what you can see on the outside, I mean, the roof and the foundation, man, are like the two things that could just destroy, any deal.
And I love the attention to detail in here. Like, I was looking at, I don't know, I blew it up so that we could zoom into it, but there was an area where you had circled cracks, multiple cracks around the foundation.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, this
we
needs to
can
be
see
taken.
here.
I wanted you to see how many there were,
Yeah, and you can see right there, Drew, that he has arrows on the gaps and unsealed joints that he's pointing out. That's outstanding attention to detail.
Super thorough. And like, this is exactly what we talk about here on the show, is making sure that you get someone who is qualified to go out and walk all the little things that you probably aren't paying attention to. You're just looking at the overall property, right? You're
excited to buy it.
Yeah, you're super excited to buy it. And you're like, I just want to get this across the finish line, and all I need is just the okay, right? But, I think when you brought this property, when you brought this report back, and it had 66 pages, and on every page it said requires attention. At that point in time, I realized it doesn't require my money. I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
But your service is invaluable to, like you said, people who are out-of-state investors who can't walk it with the same level and attention to detail that someone like you would. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Absolutely incredible.
That's cool, man. Okay, so I want to do something kind of fun right here, Sean. We're going to do a quickfire round, okay? We're just going to throw a series of questions at you. All you got to do is just say yay or nay, or A or B or whatever.
Let's do
real quick.
Lightning round,
round, man, like 10 seconds. So here we go. You ready?
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Boom. Okay.
There you go. All
right. Ready? Here we go. Roof patched or replaced?
Replaced.
Oh, nice. Wet basement is a red flag or an opportunity?
I say red flag. Your boy would say opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is going to tap into your electrician side, man. 1920s wiring. We're talking about knob and tube. Walk away or full rewire? Rewire, sorry.
We wire.
Rewire. I would say rewire.
Rewire, okay.
Yeah.
We will wire it.
Yes, rewire, especially for an investor. Yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity for sure.
For sure. Okay, last one. Here we go. Would you ever skip an inspection?
No.
Nice.
Nope. Nope.
Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Love it.
Even
well done. Well done.
Nice. Even when
Good
I go
man.
to buy my own home, our next home, I will definitely have it inspected by another inspector because that's a legal document if I ever need it. So
Nice.
Yeah, bro.
Now let me ask you, man. So have you? I know you and we've talked about you potentially investing.
I want to. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
And I would definitely
So
be hollering at you before I do any of that.
there we go,
For
man.
sure.
So like you're out there in Indy right now. Where would you invest in Indy?
I mean, right outside of downtown. The east side is a side right now. The inner east is an area that is getting flipped. I mean,
Yeah.
these older houses are getting bought. Indy is doing a lot of work also, like on the main streets and, giving money to companies to come here, build things. I mean, the east side right now, I think is
It's happening, right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And then they're doing a huge like lead repiping deal out in that side as well, right?
I'm not sure. I would believe it though. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I've actually
got
found
two
lead pipe.
houses. Yeah, two
Yeah.
of my houses. They completely came in and for free
Yeah.
replaced the lead
That's what's
piping,
up. That's awesome.
which is
Yeah.
huge.
That is
That's
huge because
good,
that would be
man.
expensive. Yeah.
So let me ask you, like, what's holding you back from getting into your first property?
I want to build this company first.
There you go.
I'm still on the foundation part.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure this is good before I start putting eggs in another basket. I'm actually going to a mastermind business conference at the end of this month to learn how to spend less. So I can do that. I know the technical part of being an inspector, but the
Yeah.
business part is that's what I'm lacking in right now. So
Yeah.
I need
Yeah,
to
and I think that, it's your first year in business. I mean, I think everyone's first year in business, they lack the financial expertise,
yeah.
to run a business. And
Yeah.
but after you get your feet wet, so first couple of years, dude, it starts to become a little bit more, you start to understand how to analyze budgets and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's really, really cool because we also talk about making sure that you have your active income ready to rock and roll before you start investing. You want that active income to be something that you can depend on, and that is the security blanket, as you start to go and grow your passive, right, Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Active income. You two earner right here, man. He and I both coach. I referee high school and youth
I know Drew's
football
a busy man, and you
and
seem
basketball,
pretty busy
man.
too, man.
Yes, sir, man.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
guys
I
are
was
just nonstop.
nonstop,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, this is a Saturday when we were recording, and earlier this morning I was working, out of town. So like, there's just it's nonstop, man.
I
To
had
try
an
to
inspection too. Yeah.
continue to just build that foundation and get that active income so that you can set that legacy. So man, that's
Yeah, no,
awesome, bro. And listen, we want to help you. So we're here with you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely,
it,
man.
and I definitely will be reaching out when I'm ready to pull the trigger on, or even when I'm ready to just put my finger on the gun. I'll be calling out.
Yeah. Sounds
Beautiful.
good, man.
So I kind of want to just pivot here to some final takeaways.
You sound like a dance dad. Pivot. How many?
This man,
We're dancing today.
we are dancing
All
today,
right, where are we
man.
pivoting to?
Hey, I want to segue. How about that?
There you go.
So, Sean, let's segue to, as we close out here, what are some top 3 things that new investors should know when getting into a property? What can you legally advise?
Well, first of all, they should not skip the inspection. They should absolutely get a sewer scope, especially if they're buying an older property. and listen and follow the advice that's on the inspection report. And at least for me, call if there is any clarification needed or you don't understand. Call the inspector. Call me, and I will walk you through it.
Nice,
dude.
nice. That's that's super
sound
interesting
advice.
because I've never thought about, like, I mean, obviously you and I have a relationship because, you know, we're buddies, so I feel comfortable calling you, but I never felt comfortable calling an inspector after I got the report, right? I always typically just grab that inspection and give it to my GC and be like, all right, what do we need to worry about here? And, you know, what are issues?
Yeah. Well, that's part of why I also wanted to start this, is because I wanted to help people, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like just simply doing the report, throwing it at you and walking away, I mean, that it's helpful because I did the report, but that's not too helpful, right? I mean,
you know, there's one thing that we didn't cover on this, that it was super, like in California, you know, you always hear about, like, oh, there may be asbestos or there may be this and that, right? And so my first
lead
report,
paint,
when I first bought my house, my very first house out in Indy, it came back and it's like, there may be asbestos. There's lead paint all over the place, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, crap, I need to walk away. This is going to be horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave it to my GC. He's like, nah, don't worry about that. You just paint over it. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
That's like kind of that disconnect, right? That,
Can you
contractors.
Can you speak to that a little bit, brother?
Yeah. Me?
Yeah, you.
Just paint. I'm not going to tell you to paint over lead. Shit. That's for damn sure. Especially not on camera. Man. I mean, there are some homes, if there is a certain age, season before, if I see peeling paint, I'll recommend getting it tested for lead, but I also I don't try to scare people in my reports. I want to be, I want to state the facts, but I don't want it to, because not everything is scary. It could be an issue, but it might not be. You don't know until we get it tested. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And even if there is lead in the paint, it can be remediated. I mean, unless you're eating the paint chips, man,
Yeah.
Don't eat them.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've heard this from contractors, but you always go in there, and this is one of those things where it's like, all right, do I replace the siding or do I replace this wall? Like, do I, and they always say, man, once you open up a wall.
Yeah.
Once you open up a wall, you don't know what you're opening up, man. So you should just keep that wall closed.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes me feel any better.
That doesn't make me feel good at all. What do you mean? Maybe we should open the wall. You know? Because I'm of the opinion I'd much rather know than not know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just paint over it, man. That's funny.
Yeah, Hey, the house has been doing well. It's been a positive income earner.
That's good.
Yeah.
As an inspector, I have to recommend you not do that.
I respect your inspect. Thank you so much.
Man.
Nice, buddy. Nice.
Dude, this has been so fun, dude. Do you have any questions for us? Any thoughts? Any parting words?
Do you have any advice for me? What can I do from an investor's point of view, from your eyes? What can I do to make things better?
You know what,
you guys?
Here's what I can tell you is that you keep being transparent. You keep getting on those roofs. You keep telling us the things that, in your report legally, the only thing that I would recommend in your report is if you make those things brighter. Make them a deeper red. Like, you should check this out.
I gotcha. Well, hey, so this new report writing software that I'm going to be using, man, you're going to love it, dude. You're going to like it.
Nice.
It's great. It's awesome. It is so cool.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Dude.
Yeah.
Jordan, what do you think? Anything that we can recommend to him?
No, I mean, he just said he's going to have the summary in there, man. And I'm just thinking from the aspect of an out-of-state investor, right? Drew picked up the phone. He said at the beginning of the show that he called several people, and you were the only one that A, answered, and B, I'll get out there today, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of thinking about our audience who are in our situations. Like, how can we find a Sean, right? Like, obviously, right, you can call Sean,
Call
but
Sean.
how are you vetting, your inspectors? And so I just think that it comes back to, right, doing your due diligence, like we say, on all these things and on all the people that you work with and you're building your team. So people, the inspector is a part of your team. He absolutely, or that person is absolutely a part of your team. So nah, man. I mean, I think you are building something beautiful, man, and we are just happy to be along for the journey, man. It's awesome.
Hey, I'm happy to
100%, man.
be. Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you for the invite, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
The show.
so Sean, I have a question for you, man.
Yeah.
How do you, like, as an investor, what are some things that you need to look for in home inspector?
Well, whether or not they answer the phone, first of all.
Yeah.
Although that's not always a good indicator, man, because when you're in a crawl space, walking around like this, I mean, you can't always answer your phone, right? But
Right.
if their availability, how easy it is to get a hold of them, how transparent they are, and then honestly look if they're make sure they have some kind of website presence. Make sure
Yeah.
they're on social media. That way they can basically they're holding themselves accountable by putting themselves out there for people to judge
Right.
them. Essentially,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yep.
I mean,
Reviews.
I saw that beautiful website on the back of your screen earlier, man. That's your website.
Where'd it go?
It's gone now.
it's gone.
It went to sleep.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Be Kind Local, baby. Shout out to Be Kind Local.
Blow. Yes, sir. So I'm wondering, are there any questions that someone might be able to ask when they get an inspector on the phone that might be able to help to differentiate the level of service that you provide versus maybe someone else? Yeah. I mean, cause I've spoken with other inspectors and man, you like the quality, the transparency, your communication style, you can just get a sense that you're a good dude.
Yeah,
right?
I appreciate
When you're
that.
talking to someone on the phone. And so, I mean, I guess I would say to our investors or folks who are looking at getting in the game, pick up the phone, have a conversation with that inspector and ask questions. Ask them, are you going to do drone footage? What happens if the attic doesn't lend itself to, do you crawl in the attic?
Yeah, so
right?
that's a good thing. Yeah, ask what their process is, I guess.
Yeah.
Ask them what their process is. And I was about to say if they give you short answers, that's a bad sign, but that's not really true because what if they're in the attic right now? What if they're in the crawl space? They don't want to miss that phone call, right? But
maybe that's the question you should ask. Where are you right now?
Where are you? Yeah,
right.
There you go.
Call me when you get back on the ground. I have some questions to ask you.
Absolutely. Yes. But I would say if they're willing to have a conversation with you, that's a good sign.
Nice, man. Hey, Sean, where can the people find you, bro? Social media, website. How can people get in contact with you?
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, IndySpect.com. They can call my cell. Should I say it?
Yeah.
Sure,
go ahead.
Man.
But you can give me a call at 317-777-4101. Now, it's kind of confusing because some company, Be Kind Local, put a bunch of different types of numbers on my website. So, that's my actual number, though, 317-777-4101.
You get the man himself.
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
Love it.
Well,
that's awesome.
This has been great, man. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
To Sean Eagan of IndySpect for sharing his invaluable insights. And, remember, folks, that a thorough inspection isn't just a checkbox. It is, quite literally your safeguard against costly surprises. So, Drew, my brother, any final words of wisdom?
Well, I think, first of all, Sean, you have been a member of my team for the last year and a half, and I've been super appreciative of the insight and the value that you bring to help keep me honest, help keep me looking at the actual numbers and not leading with emotion.
Mm-hmm.
This is this right here, this episode, guys, we're bringing you people that are out in the field that are helping you to succeed in what we're trying to accomplish. So I hope that you guys appreciate it. And it really does fall in line with everything that we've talked about through the buy, the rehab, the rent, refinance, and repeat process. Having these people in place is instrumental in your success, and they can save you a lot of money. They can save you a lot of money, right? So Sean, dude, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. And I really thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Sir. No problem. Remember, IndySpect, protecting your Hoosier dream.
Hey, there we go.
It is a copyright with the U.S. slogan.
I love it. Hey,
that's
let's go Pacers.
Hey,
hell yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir. Awesome. Well, people, remember to like, subscribe, and share the Property BRRRRothas, man. Find us on TikTok.
Look at you.
There you go, Sean.
Say
Check you out.
BRRRRothas.
Hey, that sounds beautiful. Find us on Instagram and Facebook. So for Drew, the numbers ninja, for Sean, our new brother, of Indie Spec, I am Jordan, your host, and we are the Property BRRRRothas. Peace, y'all. Take care.
The Property Brothers was produced and edited by the hosts. All rights are reserved by the Property Brothers LLC, and the hosts are operating exclusively on behalf of the Property Brothers LLC. Please consult appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business advice. Nothing on this show should be considered professional advice. We appreciate you all for following our journey. It would mean the world to us if you could like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. God bless.